Hello everyone and welcome to the Week 3 edition of Instant Replay, where I give you my take on the most controversial plays of the weekend. I'm Simon Borg. We start in Kansas City, where referee Jair Marufo had a big call to make after just a minute and change. San Jose center back Florian Jungwirth looks like he takes down SKC forward Dom Dwyer, and it looked to me like the contact was enough to warrant a penalty, but Marufo says play on. The next time that Dom Dwyer went down in the box was the 16th minute, but here, Marufo shows him a yellow for simulation, and I agree with that call, and here's why. San Jose's Simon Dawkins initially sticks his leg out and quickly pulls it back to avoid the contact, but Dwyer had already let himself go. There were 3 cards shown at Children's Mercy Park, all yellows, including this one in the 52nd minute, shown to San Jose striker Marco Ureña, except I'd argue this should have been a straight red. Ureña comes in with a dangerous scissors tackle and a wild follow-through on Sporting's Ilie Sanchez with the ball long gone. That's serious foul play to me, but Ureña gets off with just a yellow. Next up, RFK Stadium, where 2 penalty kicks did in DC United in their 2017 home debut. The first came in the 37th minute as defender Steve Birnbaum kicks Crew SC's Ola Kamara in an attempt to reach for the ball. No doubt about it for referee Ted Uncle, who of course has the best form in the league when it comes to pointing to the penalty spot. And I think Uncle got that one right. The other Crew SC penalty also involved Kamara and Birnbaum in the 65th minute, and this one created more of a debate. But I agree with Uncle here too. Birnbaum's right arm is fully outstretched as he pushes Ola Kamara off the ball just as the striker's about to get a shot off. 2 penalty shots to look at in Vancouver. We start in the 26th minute when Toronto's Justin Morrow can't believe he doesn't get the call from referee Ismail Elfath on this play in the box. The replay shows that Vancouver defender Kendall Waston sticks his leg there in an attempt to poke the ball away, but he doesn't get the ball and he trips Morrow in the process. That was a penalty to me, but Elfath doesn't bite. A few minutes later, on the other end of the field, it was Vancouver's Nicolas Mesquida who was expecting a penalty call, but Elfath doesn't give that one either. When you look at the replay, it sure looks like Mesquida beats Eric Zavaleta to the ball, and the end line camera seems to show there's contact right here. Those were both big moments in the match, but the turning point was the red card shown to Vancouver's Shea in the 70th minute after he gets 2 yellows in quick succession. No doubt about the first one, which comes for this very late takedown of Toronto defender Nick Hagglund. But then, Shea apparently made a comment to the referee, who reacts by showing him a second yellow and sending him off. An early sending off in the 11th minute turned the match on its head in Atlanta, as Chicago Fire defender Johan Kapelov saw a red for denial of an obvious goal-scoring opportunity. You see, Kapelov is not really making an attempt to play the ball when he takes down Atlanta's Josef Martinez. Even though it happens about 30-35 yards from goal, Martinez was in. That's a definite red card to me, and a great call by referee Jose Carlos Rivero. Martinez would go on to score 2 goals in this match, but some thought that his first goal in the 60th minute may have been offside. But as you can see from this freeze frame, assistant referee Corey Rockwell nails it. The score would finish 4-0 against 10-man Chicago, but I thought the Fire could have finished with 9 men after this João Almeida challenge on Atlanta's Carlos Carmona. On this slow-mo replay, it looks to me like the arm on the shoulder turns into an elbow in the neck area. Referee Mark Geiger had a tough call to make in the 14th minute at Yankee Stadium when Montreal's Dominic Oduro goes down in the box in a New York City hero sandwich. The roll of the ball seems to indicate that NYCFC defender Maxime Chanot may have gotten a foot to the ball, but on the replay, it looks to me like whether he touches it or not, Chanot goes through Oduro and his right knee nicks Oduro's left leg. No penalty for Geiger, who awards the corner kick. We also saw a questionable challenge by Montreal's Patrice Bernier in the 27th minute. Look at how the Impact captain goes into this header with a bit of a kick out into the hip of NYCFC's Alexander Cayens, who needs treatment. No foul called and no cards issued by Geiger, who eventually stops play so Cayens can be tended to. Near the end of the match, Bernier was the subject of a tough tackle himself when NYCFC Chanot arrived a split second late on this challenge, earning a yellow from Geiger, which I thought was the right call. To Orlando, where the home team made it 2 wins in a row at their new stadium, but their first goal by Cyle Larin had a hint of an offside to it. So we take another look here, and we don't have the perfect angle on this freeze frame, but it sure is close. Assistant CJ Morganti kept the flag down, and our friend Soccer Photogrammetry on Twitter, who does excellent work on offside calls, says CJ Morganti got it right. According to this graphic model, Larin was behind the ball by a yard. Moments before that, in the 35th minute, I thought the Union had a good shout for a penalty when Orlando defender Jonathan Spector makes himself big and sticks out that left arm to deflect this shot by Philadelphia's CJ Sapong. I thought it was a penalty, but no call from referee Fotis Bazakos, who awards a corner. Then, in second half stoppage time, I thought the Union had another good case for a penalty. Look at what Orlando defender Jose Aja does off the ball here. He grabs CJ Sapong from the shoulders and yanks him to the ground, but Bazakos doesn't see it. The match ends 2-1 Orlando. We head next to Colorado for the 2-2 draw between the Rapids and Minnesota United, and the visiting Loons got on the board in the 50th minute on a penalty kick awarded by referee Nima Sagafi, who ruled defender Mikhail Williams brought down Minnesota's Colin Warner. And although it may look like Williams and Warner are simply running side by side after a through ball in the box, the infraction, in my opinion, happens when Williams puts his right arm on Warner's shoulder and pulls him back. I think that's a good call by Sagafi. And Sagafi had to make a decision on a similar play earlier in the game when Brent Kalman and Dominique Badji come together in the box, with both making an attempt at the ball at the same time. No penalty call there by Sagafi, and I agree. That's just two players going for the ball. There was a red card in this one, and it came in the 70th minute when Minnesota left back Justin David sends his studs into Marlon Hairston's shin, an incident that ultimately forced the Rapids player out of the match. I agree with the sending off, and here's why. Look at how Hairston and Davis go in for this 50-50 ball. While Hairston keeps his studs pointing downward and his leg moving down, Davis exposes the studs and raises the leg up high. One endangers the safety, the other does not. That's a good red card decision by Sagafi, in my opinion. There was also a red card at Rio Tinto Stadium, which drew the ire of the Real Salt Lake faithful. It was shown to RSL's captain, Cyle Beckerman, just before the half, and it came for a second yellow. And this one's legit to me, and it comes for stopping a promising attack with a late foul from behind on LA's João Pedro. Now let's rewind to see the first yellow Beckerman received, which was shown for something he said to referee Sorin Stoica 10 minutes before. You see for a moment here, before the camera cuts away, how Stoica warns Beckerman to watch what he says, then pulls the caution card on him. Now, when we look at the original foul in that case, I thought LA's Jermaine Jones also deserved a card. And I can make the argument for a red card for endangering the safety. Check out how he goes in studs first. RSL fans were up in arms about that Beckerman sending off, but I think there could have been a Real Salt Lake player sent off before Beckerman. Check out how RSL forward Jura Movsisyan leaves his foot near Bradley Diallo's groin area and even steps on him when he could have pulled his leg out well before that. I would have shown Movsisyan a red card for violent conduct, but Stoica gives both players a talking to Dallas, where the home team won 2-1, but it was the visiting New England Revolution who took the lead on a penalty kick. And there was no doubt about this one in the 9th minute. Dallas forward Christian Coleman pulls down Antonio de la Mea right under the nose of referee Alan Kelly, who calls it, and Lee Wing converts. Dallas came from behind to win this game, but the second goal in the 77th minute had some controversy to it. It looks to me like Maxi Urruti uses both arms to push off defender Benjamin Angua, and I would have called the foul, but Kelly doesn't see a foul here, and the goal stands, and it's a beauty. There were a few rough tackles at Toyota Stadium, but I agreed with Kelly on his decisions. Yellow to Dallas's Roland Lama for this scissors tackle on Scott Caldwell in the 36th minute, and yellow to Minor Figueroa for this late challenge on Kai Kamara in the 54th. On to Portland, where there were a couple of handball penalties awarded, and both were actually pretty similar. The first one was called in the 10th minute, and the guilty party in this case was Houston left back DeMarcus Beasley, who blocks this cross by Sebastian Blanco. And I agree with the decision by referee Alan Chapman to award the penalty. Beasley makes himself big in an attempt to deflect the ball, and he raises his arm in the process. That's a penalty, and Portland's Diego Valeri converts. Then in the 37th minute, it was the turn of Portland's Diego Chara to raise his arm in the box in an attempt to deflect this free kick by Houston's Cubo Torres. No doubt about that one, and it's Cubo himself putting the ball in the back of the net. Speaking of Torres, I thought he was lucky not to get sent off just before halftime. He's sitting on a yellow when he goes up with his arms flailing wildly, and he makes contact with Timbers defender Roy Miller. That should have been enough for a second yellow in my eyes, but Chapman graces him. And we end in Seattle, where the Sounders won 3-1, and their first goal came from the penalty spot in the 27th minute. There was no doubt from referee Baldomero Toledo after Sounders forward Jordan Morris beats Red Bulls goalkeeper Luis Robles to this weak back pass, and Clint Dempsey steps up to convert to get the Sounders on the board. Just 3 minutes later, Red Bulls forward Fredrik Gulbrandsen attempts to draw a similar call when he beats Sounders goalkeeper Stefan Frey to this ball in the box. But there's a pretty big difference here. Frey doesn't touch the player and doesn't impede his progress. Gulbrandsen is promptly cautioned for simulation and doesn't even protest. And we have an interesting play in the 77th minute. Red Bulls midfielder Felipe getting under an opponent's skin once again. This time, it's Sounders star forward Clint Dempsey. Felipe bumps him off the ball, but then Dempsey retaliates with an all-out shoulder charge, sending Felipe to the ground. Now, the fourth official, Dave Gantar, spotted it and alerted the referee, who shows Dempsey a yellow, but I'd argue that should have been a red card for violent conduct given the force on the charge. What do you think of all these plays? Let us know in the comments below, and keep feeding us plays you want to see covered using hashtag #InstantReplay on Twitter. Until next week, for our editor Rich Hernandez, I'm Simon Borg. See you next time!